that, I'll hand it over to Jody Polleck.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you so much for this opportunity to work with this incredible group of critical educators. My name is Jody Polleck, and I'm, like Melissa, also in the Department of Curriculum Teaching in the School of Education. And my specialty is around culturally sustaining literacies. And similar to Alexis, I do a lot of work around healing-centered engagements and ways that we can use literacies not just for criticality, but also to think about how we can do culturally affirmed social emotional learning. So a lot of my work bridges those two areas. My other field is really around professional development. So I do a lot of work with educators around how can we infuse transformative practices, inclusion, justice, and equity into our coursework, into our syllabi, into our instructions, into our communities of practice, and even into the assessments that we develop for our students. So it's really around culturally sustaining and responsive professional learning experiences, and just general experiences for our students as well. How can we really transform our work to ensure that we're centering equity and justice into our practices? So my projects are twofold. They are two different projects that I'm doing working with faculty, and those came out of the work that I've been doing within the School of Ed. I was one of the co-founders and previous co-chair of the Equity and Advocacy Committee here in the School of Education. We're still running strong. We're a very grassroots organization and committee run by faculty, staff, and students. So it's a collaborative collective. And there's a lot of folks in here who have done some of that work. So it's exciting to see Nadine here and Terry here, and Melissa as well has done some work with that. And our group has really been about exactly that. How can we be more intentional about the ways in which we're infusing justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion into our School of Education? And so we've developed some guiding principles that we can use to really transform our curriculum and our assessments and really our programs overall. And we've done a lot of work where we've had keynote speakers come in every single year to lead us on a journey of what that looks like for transforming our School of Education. And so that work has led to, after doing some work, I was also on the Racial Equity Task Force, and then feel so grateful to be part of this group as well. So the first project comes out of that Equity and Advocacy Committee. And I also do this within my program with my adjuncts and with my colleagues. We do a protocol called the Critical Friends Protocol. And I'm not sure if people are familiar with that. So what I want to do is I'm going to put into the chat what that looks like. And so what happens in these, and we've already done one session, and actually I think Lisa is here. Lisa was there, Julie was there. I hope I'm not missing anyone, but we had a group of faculty come together in August, and we give, it's a 2-hour session workshop, and we begin with introductions, who we are, being reflective about why we're here. And then I talk about what Critical Friends groups are. And basically they're just a small collective of people who come together to share and be vulnerable about a particular pedagogical strategy that they're working on and want to transform. And then they get feedback from their critical friends, who are the other people who are in the group. And so I talk about what these, what's the purpose of these. And then I also share with them the protocol. And then we actually participate in the protocol. So we all went into breakout groups that were led by, I think Stephanie was also there, or Stephanie has been involved in a lot. I don't want to forget anybody who's here, but we've had people facilitate the different breakout groups, and they follow the protocol that you see there listed. And so basically the presenter gives some context about the issue they want to discuss, or the context of their classroom. Then they provide either a syllabi or an assignment or a rubric that they want to transform to really center issues around equity and justice with their students. The other critical friends in the group then provide them with feedback. And then the presenter at the end of that 20-minute protocol gives us, basically says what they're going to commit to. So you've got to put a ring on it as you leave out. So you get some feedback and then you make a commitment. And so we did this in August and it was phenomenal. And we'll be doing it again in January 2023. We like to hold critical friends groups 2 to 3 weeks before the semester begins to give faculty time to work on the revisions that came out of the critical friends group. So that's the first project. The second project is enormous and honestly could take me through the end of my career here at Hunter College. And I would love some input and some feedback from people moving forward. But we're creating a website through CUNY Commons, Academic Commons. And this website will be a storing house, clearing house for all faculty. And the website itself provides resources and materials for faculty to transform their practices and their curriculum. So the website that we're working on has resources. The first one is, and it's divided into 3 parts. The first one is personal work. So before we do any sort of transformation, we want faculty to think about their own identities and communities and to build their knowledge around anti-racism, justice, diversity, and inclusion. So there's a whole section all around things that people can read, act upon, and view. So there's readings, there's materials, and then there's videos where they can think about their own personal internal work that needs to be done. Then there's a second section that's all around interpersonal work. So before diving into curriculum instruction, we want faculty to think about 3 different areas: how they're getting to know their students, how they're building community, and how they're establishing relationships. So again, we have resources and practical materials to help faculty in that interpersonal area. And then finally is the curricular area of the website, which basically provides faculty with resources, examples, exemplars, videos for ways that they can transform their syllabi, their instructional methods, and assessment. So we're building that work out now, and eventually we'll be asking you all to take a look at it and figuring out ways we can revise and add to the material that's there. So ongoing project for sure.